Kaveh, just answer the first question. Why have Ineos acted today?
I think the short answer is they have realised, and they've realised for quite a while now, that Erik Ten Hag is not the right man for the job. He is a very good manager, of course. He's got a great record at Ajax. He's won a couple of trophies at United as well. But he's not the man who is going to get United up to the level of a Manchester City or a Liverpool or even clubs now like Arsenal, Chelsea, who are improving. United under Erik Ten Hag have become a side who in cup competitions can beat anyone, but their league form simply is not good enough. And I think in hindsight, looking back, Ineos feel probably that they should have got rid of Erik Ten Hag in the summer and not decided to stick with him and extend his contract by another year. I think the other problem that Erik Ten Hag has had is with the new minority owners coming in and the new structure that's in place, there are a lot of people now watching from the stands, important, influential, senior people at United who are watching every single performance. You know, the sporting director, the technical director, the chief executive, they are watching these performances and they can't quite understand what is going on the pitch because they think we've given Erik all this money to spend, he's signed these players and nothing is improving. We see no philosophy. It's not like when you watch Liverpool or when you watch, Spurs or Chelsea or Arsenal or Manchester City, you know exactly what is going on the pitch. All the players know what is going on. And I think there is a sense of drift at the club. And that includes the dressing room as well. I think some of the players don't quite know what is going on. There is a little bit of a vacuum. They have been expecting Erik Ten Hag to leave. They are like the rest of us. No, they know that Ineos have been talking to other managers in the summer. So I think Ineos have decided now enough is enough. We have to sort this out today. It can't wait any longer because at the very least, we need to finish in the top four at the end of this season because United need to get back into the Champions League again. And long term, they need somebody like a Pep. They need somebody like a Jurgen Klopp. You know, they need somebody of that stature because this is a big, big job. And I don't think Erik Ten Hag is just the problem. There are other deep-seated problems at Manchester United, which, to be fair to Ineos and Jim Ratcliffe and Dave Brailsford and Omar Barada, Dan Ashworth, Jason Wilcox, they are trying to get to grips with. But obviously, things are not going to improve overnight. This is going to take a long time to get right.
No, and the way that it's been gone about doesn't give a good look, you'd have to say, in terms of the club. But he did spend £600 million, over £600 million. Is there some sympathy? Should we have some sympathy for Erik Ten Hag, though?
I mean, I'll try and sort of look at it from the way that he would look at it. He would say, why have I lost my job? You know, we played well against West Ham yesterday. We were really, really unlucky. My players didn't finish off the chances. That was never a penalty. Give me more time and I would have got it right. Look at the trophies I won at Ajax. Look at the trophies I've won here. Bear with me. I've had a very, very difficult time dealing with lots of issues off the pitch as well to do with the sort of takeover, the Glazers putting up the club for sale. Was it for sale? Wasn't it for sale? Who was going to take over? Was it going to be Ineos? Was it going to be the Qataris? He's had all sorts of issues with players as well, high profile, fallings outs with players like Sancho, Ronaldo, David De Gea, Harry Maguire, the Mason Greenwood situation as well. He's had a lot to deal with, and he would say, with all that going on in the background, I still managed to win 2 trophies. And if you'd given me more time, I would have got it right. But I think the overwhelming feeling, unanimous feeling amongst the senior executives at the club is, Erik, thank you very much. Of course, we respect the job that you've done, but we need to go in a different direction straight away.
Well, funny you should say that, because Kaveh, thank you very much. I respect the job that you've done, but I have to go in a different direction because Jamie Jackson is waiting to speak to me. But stay there, because I'm going to come back to you. Look, as I said, Jamie's covered Manchester United for years as a journalist and joins me now. Good to see you, Jamie, as always. First of all, what did you make of the timing of this news?
A little bit odd, I suppose, considering, they might have sacked him, or were sort of considering sacking him towards the end of last season or in the summer. Then you had the Spurs defeat, obviously the 3-0 in that sort of week. When there was a week then going into the national break when they had the summit on the Monday, and he still survived. There was any time those sort of 2 or 3 examples he could have gone, and then at the same time I could sort of have seen, given that he hadn't done it, a scenario where he would have continued. But I defended him last season all the time. I said, look, these injuries, I know you're not allowed to use it as excuses, but there were 66 of them, and that would kill any team. And he still won the FA Cup, turning over Manchester United's great rivals, crosstown rivals, Manchester City, with a good performance. But this season it sort of changed a little bit, because that sort of reason, that factor was gone. And yeah, I mean, the recruitment in the summer was questionable for a start, if you ask my opinion. And yeah, the results, the manner of play, the style of play was basically as bad. And it now makes his first season, when United finished 3rd, look like a bit of an anomaly, really. I mean, I think that was basically down to Rashford scoring 30 goals. So the timing was a little bit of how soon it is now. It was going to happen, and so here we are. A very likeable man, but I just feel in the end, time ran out for him, and it always happens at Manchester United. No manager since Ferguson left has had 3 full seasons. No permanent manager, anyway.
Look, I'm interested to know what you say. Pick up on what you just said there. The signings were questionable. I mean, were they questionable? Joshua Zirkzee, we all heard that he had goals in him, came from Bologna. Matthijs de Ligt, good player. Mazraoui, Ugarte. So why are those players not working? Because they all came with a little bit of a pedigree.
Well, basically, because they haven't looked so far, I'll put it politely, up to the pace of playing for Manchester United in the Premier League. I mean, Joshua Zirkzee, to me, looks like a sort of 10. Well, they've got Fernandes and Mason Mount. Mazraoui looks possibly better going forward than Aaron Wan-Bissaka, but certainly not any better defending and not as quick. De Ligt, I'll say it politely, it looks a little bit one-pace, a sort of maybe as good as Harry Maguire, but Harry Maguire was on his way out. I'm going on what I've seen so far. You don't buy, or Bayern Munich don't sell in De Ligt's case, unless they feel that player is not good enough. And there's been too much of that really at United, but they've sort of bought, I'm not going to call them rejects, but players that big clubs, basically did not want. And so, listen, it's a small sample size. We're about 12 games into the season, but apart from Lenny Yoro, who's obviously been injured, so we can't judge him at all. He's only 18. So far, very underwhelming. I mean, Ugarte, don't know, he started the Spurs debacle. They lost 3-0 and wasn't seen again until recently. And Ten Hag kept on saying, he needs to be integrated. I mean, this is supposedly a top pro coming from PSG, played in the Copa America for Uruguay, Copa America team of the tournament, and he's not good enough to be integrated sort of a month after he signed. I just don't get that one at all, especially when number 6, the Casemiro position, or the Rodri position, if you like, was key. It was vital, and he just didn't want to pick him enough.
Yeah. Oh, how they love a Rodri in the team. Look, 21st in Europa League, 14th in the league. You talked about it. There was that wonderful day when they won the FA Cup against their arch rivals. So why wasn't he able to build on that from the end of last season, do you feel?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I mean, the amount of goodwill, but the manner of that win as well, because he played well. It was all there for him. But it's basically kind of what I just outlined. The signings were not particularly good. And Marcus Rashford has actually played well this season, but generally goals have dried up. And it's a bit of a truism or a sort of boring thing to say. But, you need goals in football to win matches and do very well. And, I think they've hardly scored in the Premier League. Is it 6 goals? I mean, a -3 goal difference. I mean, that's relegation form. And look where they are in the table. So he just wasn't able to bring them on. It's very odd considering his Ajax side, Ten Hag's Ajax side, got to the Champions League semi-final, might have got to the final in that game against Spurs. But he just, in terms of our league or our football, apart from that first season, which was very good, they also won the Carabao Cup, I should mention that, he didn't seem to have any progressive ideas or any ideas on how to progress the team. And so this is what happened in the summer. The team stagnated or flatlined or maybe has gone backwards. And this has brought this to him. And it's been very interesting because every time this came up about his job this season, he seemed to be, I wouldn't say the answers weren't necessarily with contempt, but he was almost very dismissive of the very notion that he might be under threat. Now that might have been his managerial PR sort of message to the dressing room, but I was a little bit dumbfounded that he could not see where this was coming from. It was basically facts. It's everything we're discussing: the results, the manner of results, the position. They haven't won away in Europe for a year. I mean, this is Manchester United. They're not entitled to win games, of course they're not, but they've certainly got a heck of a pedigree, a history, a rich history of doing well, in all cups they play, in all leagues. And so I was a bit baffled by that. And he's very likable. Man has sat through so many of his press conferences. He has got a sense of humour, twinkle in the eye. But I do get from the outside the perception of him was a little bit wooden, and actually how could he inspire a band of players who, by the way, yes, for a slightly different question, I think that Bruno Fernandes apart, and maybe Mania, I don't think they're good enough really for Manchester United. It's a bit of a sweeping statement, but you understand what I mean. They have to carry the can as well, the players.
Yeah, they needed to step up as well. Look, again, I'm going to pick you up on something there. You were saying about in terms of what he was, how he's dealt with things. Do you feel, though, he was getting very mixed messages because he came into press conferences and he was getting, questions from the media, and yet he was being told by Ineos, he was their man. They'd gone to Ibiza whilst he was on holiday to give him that contract, to extend it, and here we are, 116 days later, and they've rode back on it. So do you kind of understand? Is there some sympathy for him that perhaps he was feeling a little bit lost in this as well?
100%. I mean, you say about the new contract that he sort of signed or certainly agreed in Ibiza. I mean, it was only for an extra year to the sort of extension or the option they had, which was hardly, that was not Ineos saying, look, we've had this beauty parade of people like Tuchel and considering Southgate if he leaves England, not rest of it, but Erik remains our man, and here you go, here's a mandate, here's 4 years, 4 fresh years, extended years on your contract. It was only like an extra one, and even that, so I think mixed messages all the way, and I think maybe him in his sort of, quieter moments probably laughed about the whole situation, seeing all these managers being interviewed and him finally being given an extra year, and probably deep down, I don't know this for sure, but he's a smart cookie. Surely he must have looked at all that and thought, am I really for Ineos? Because remember, they removed basically everyone else around him apart from Ten Hag was the last sort of employee, high-ranking employee, probably most important employee at the club, who they did not sack or sort of say thank you very much to. So, I would say Ineos so far have not handled it great. It feels still like a little bit of a mess, a sort of ongoing mess at United since, Ferguson left. I've covered them since before then, since Sir Alex Ferguson left in May 2013. Maybe now, when they get their man in, who they're actually going to appoint, we will see this sort of brave new dawn, a brave new era. But it just seems a little bit Groundhog Day, every season, every day at this club.
What do they need to do? Look, they obviously need to change the mentality at the club, you'd have to say. So what do they need to do now, do you feel?
Well, this might sound a bit silly or a bit impossible, and this is sort of like a function of how kind of low United have sunk. But Unai Emery, for me, would be the person that I don't think... Why would he go there? Yeah? Because Villa are flying. Look at what he's built. But if you look at the job he's done... I'm pretty sure when he replaced Gerrard, Villa was sort of like flatlining towards the bottom of the table. He's come in there, and obviously he's added some players, but you understand what I mean? He's turned them around, and wow, that is a proper job that, if I could put it this way, a proper manager has done, where he's made players that he's inherited a lot better, and look at where they are now. So it's got to be a figure like that. And you're right, change the mentality, the culture. And, the Ineos people will say to me privately or on the record, of course, that, they are winners, they're here to win. And so they will say, look, we gave him enough time. We spent we gave him £200 million in the summer. We wanted to see if he could really do something with it. We've acted now, so now is the time. So I'm sort of leading on to saying that whoever they appoint now, they have to get right. And if we're at sort of Christmas, I don't know, or January, and we're discussing, is this manager, the replacement, in danger again, then it has to be pointed at Ineos, because otherwise, why are they there? Why have they appointed people like Jason Wilcox and Dan Ashworth, to sort of be in the football department and run it if they are not experts? So let's see. Over to these gentlemen now. It really is.
All right. Well, I'm going to ask you the final question then. Don't upset Villa fans, but if you thought of one person that actually could go in there and do exactly what you just spoke about Unai Emery doing for Villa, who would it be? Who would be the best man for the job right now?
Realistic,
yep.
or anyone?
Realistic.
Realistically.
Yeah.
I would be looking at someone like possibly Thomas Frank, in terms of who they can actually get, who's got the pedigree, the Premier League experience, and his Brentford side were the last side to beat Manchester City at home in regular play. Obviously got beaten by Real Madrid in the Champions League penalties, but they beat him. Ivan Toney scored twice, November 2022, I think it was. Doesn't mean to say that's the only reason. I'm just saying he has the sort of, in terms of who they can get, and the sort of, I think he's got a sort of big club mentality about him. They've got something about him, tactically flexible. There's other names. Amarin at Sporting Lisbon, I'm not so sure if he will leave. Xavi's been mentioned, but again, I don't know. Would he fit into the sort of what they need right now? Hit the ground running, because and I think that's another reason why I don't think Van Nistelrooy will, the interim Ruud van Nistelrooy will get it, because he's just had a season. Well, he's had one game short of a full season in charge of PSV on his CV, so I'm not sure it'll be him either.
All right, Jamie, always lovely to see you. Take care. Thanks for joining us.